The NBA has a Ja Morant problem, but what's the real issue? Is it just his on-court talent that's slipping, or is there something deeper going on? Ja Morant entered the league as a rising star, a potential face of the NBA, but now his off-court behavior and defiance of the league's rules are starting to overshadow everything else. From controversial celebrations to repeated suspensions, it feels like every step forward is met with 2 steps back. As one of the league's brightest young stars, shouldn't Morant be doing more to protect his image and his future? Ja Morant's behavior off the court has been nothing short of controversial. The NBA has repeatedly warned him about his conduct, but it seems he hasn't taken those warnings seriously. One of the most notable incidents was when he made a finger gun gesture during a game against the Miami Heat, even though he had been warned about it just days earlier. This disregard for the league's request led to a fine of $75,000, but Morant didn't stop there. He followed it up with a new grenade celebration during a game against the Hornets, pretending to throw a grenade and covering his ears as if hearing the explosion. This defiance of NBA rules raised plenty of questions. It's not just about the gestures. Morant's actions point to a deeper pattern of ignoring the NBA's rules, which leaves many people questioning his judgment. It's not just about wanting to express himself. It's about how these gestures, particularly involving firearms, could potentially harm both the NBA's image and his own reputation. There's a fine line between having fun and being responsible, and Morant seems to be walking on the wrong side of that line. As talented as Morant is, his off-court behavior is starting to overshadow his on-court skills. His actions, including the finger gun gesture and the grenade celebration, have started to raise doubts about his maturity and responsibility. These actions have undeniably hurt his public image. For a player of his caliber, there's immense pressure to behave in a way that reflects the league's values. The NBA, which has worked hard to market him as one of the new faces of the league, now finds itself in a tricky spot, especially as sponsors like Nike have invested heavily in him. Nike, which has put so much into Morant's potential, is now feeling the pressure. His behavior is putting their investment at risk. It's hard for companies to continue supporting an athlete whose actions are drawing negative attention. It's not just about playing basketball, it's about representing a major global brand. With Morant's actions, especially his disregard for NBA rules, there's growing concern about his marketability in the long run. When Morant first entered the league, the Memphis Grizzlies seemed like a team on the rise. They had a young, explosive star who could lead them to greatness, but things have taken a turn. Once considered a potential championship contender, the Grizzlies are now struggling. Their performance has faltered, and much of it can be linked to Morant's behavior and his injuries. Injuries have always been a concern with Morant, and this season, his inconsistent play and inability to stay healthy have caused the Grizzlies to fall from a high-potential team to barely making it into the playoff conversation. Morant's decline isn't just about his physical injuries, it's about his inability to stay healthy and lead his team effectively. The Grizzlies are sitting at the 8th seed in the Western Conference, a far cry from where they expected to be just a few seasons ago. The firing of head coach Taylor Jenkins is a testament to how far the team has fallen. While Jenkins had some success, it became clear that the team's struggles, particularly Morant's lack of availability, played a big role in the lack of success. Ja Morant's story was supposed to be one of stardom. After winning Rookie of the Year, making All-Star teams, and leading the Grizzlies to some major achievements, Morant seemed poised to become one of the next big things in the NBA. Early comparisons to players like Allen Iverson and Russell Westbrook only fueled the hype, but now there's a sense that his career may take a different turn. Injuries and off-court controversies are starting to take their toll, and Morant risked becoming a could-have-been player, a name that people remember for their early potential but forget because of inconsistency and unfulfilled promise. Morant's early success made him seem untouchable, but the questions about his long-term future are growing. His repeated off-court issues and struggles with health have made people wonder if he'll ever fully live up to his potential. What was once a future NBA superstar might end up as just another cautionary tale, a player whose talent was undeniable, but whose personal issues got in the way. Ja Morant's defiance of NBA warnings and his continued controversial behavior are putting significant strain on his relationship with both the league and major sponsors. Nike, which has invested heavily in his brand, now faces the dilemma of having a player who could become a liability. The NBA, which had been positioning Morant as a future face of the league, is also struggling with his actions undermining that effort. He's a star, but his behavior is starting to erode the trust that the league and sponsors have placed in him. For Nike and the NBA, this issue needs to be addressed. Nike made Morant a central figure in their campaigns, but they now have to consider whether his actions could hurt their brand. The league needs to sit down with Morant and remind him of his responsibilities, not just as a basketball player, but as a global figure who represents a brand. His off-court actions could have long-term consequences for his career, and it's up to both Nike and the NBA to help him understand that. Even though some fans may view Morant's defiance as part of his personality, there's a bigger picture. The NBA and Nike need to make sure that Morant recognizes the business side of his career. If he continues down this path, he could not only hurt his relationship with the NBA, but also damage his future endorsement deals. While Morant's celebrations may seem fun or harmless, there's a deeper concern about the long-term impact of his actions. The grenade gesture especially received a lot of attention for all the wrong reasons. Despite it being meant as playful, it sent the wrong message, especially after Morant had already been warned by the NBA for similar actions. It's one thing to challenge authority, but it's another to keep pushing boundaries that could have significant consequences, both for him personally and for the NBA. Some fans and commentators view Morant's actions as a sign of rebellion or personality. They argue that it's part of his character to push back against the rules. But the issue is that Morant's actions aren't just about him. He represents the NBA, a multi-billion-dollar organization, and the choices he makes reflect on the league's image. The NBA, like any major brand, needs to maintain a balance between allowing players to express themselves and ensuring they don't make choices that could alienate their audience. Morant's behavior has put the NBA in a tough spot. In this situation, there's a clear need for better communication between Morant and the league. The NBA can't afford to let this slide anymore. Players like Morant have immense influence, not just on the court, but off it as well. They are seen as role models, and their actions can have a ripple effect. The NBA has made it clear that they want to help Morant, but they also need to establish stricter boundaries and ensure that he understands the impact his actions have on his career and the league as a whole. One of the more concerning aspects of Morant's situation is the apparent lack of mentorship in his life. Unlike other star players like LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, who had strong mentorship guiding them through their careers, Morant seems to be navigating this path largely on his own. It's not just about having people around him, it's about having the right people. These mentors need to help Morant see the bigger picture and understand that his actions off the court can be just as impactful as his performance on it. And unlike other young stars who had a support system to lean on, Morant's actions indicate a lack of guidance or perspective on the broader implications of his behavior. For someone as talented as Morant, having the right mentorship could make all the difference. It's clear that Morant needs to realize that while he may have the right to express himself, he also has a responsibility as a role model. The question is whether he's ready to acknowledge that responsibility and mature as a player and person. Looking at the bigger picture, Morant's career could go one of two ways. He could become a superstar, living up to his incredible potential and winning championships, or he could end up as a could-have-been player. With his talent, there's no doubt that he could be one of the best in the NBA, but his actions off the court are putting that in jeopardy. As one of the most marketable young stars in the league, Morant is in a unique position, but he needs to make smarter decisions moving forward to ensure he doesn't waste the opportunity. If he continues to ignore the warnings and continue down a path of self-destruction, Morant's career could become another cautionary tale. The NBA and Nike have invested heavily in him, but those investments could only last so long if his off-court behavior doesn't improve. The league has its limits, and Morant's repeated suspensions and controversies are making it difficult for them to continue supporting him as the future of the NBA. Morant's potential as a player is undeniable. He's one of the most explosive guards in the game, and his athleticism is off the charts. But his lack of consistency, both in terms of performance and behavior, is starting to undermine his future. Teams and sponsors are looking for reliable athletes who can stay healthy and maintain a positive public image. If Morant's behavior continues to cause problems, he risks losing everything he's worked for. At the end of the day, Morant has a choice to make. He can either grow up, acknowledge the responsibilities that come with being a star athlete, and start making smarter decisions, or he can continue down a path that could lead to the decline of his career. The choice is his. He has the talent and the potential to become one of the league's best, but without the right mentality and maturity, all of that could be wasted. For Morant, this is a critical time in his career. If he wants to be remembered as one of the greats, he needs to stop alienating the league, his fans, and his sponsors. He needs to show that he can be more than just a highlight reel. He needs to prove that he can handle the pressures that come with being a superstar. The NBA is built on the idea that it's not just about talent, it's about being a professional too. If Morant wants to succeed in this business, he'll need to start acting like a professional, both on and off the court. In the coming years, Morant has the opportunity to prove himself, not just as a player, but as someone who can handle the pressures of being in the spotlight. But the clock is ticking. If he doesn't take control now, his career might just fade away as one of the greatest what-ifs in NBA history. The choice is his. So what do you think? Can Ja Morant turn things around and fulfill his potential, or has his off-court behavior already derailed his career? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss.